the ringer for the Republicans on the congressional baseball team?
Yeah, we got a streak going. We got to keep that going this year.
Yeah, we've got practices at 5:45 in the morning, which Missouri time is 4:45 in the morning. But I figured my OPS is 1850. I've discovered. Somebody's doing the stats.
That's actually insane.
So,
do you get drug tested?
No,
that's because
listen,
if I'm commissioner of baseball and a guy walks in with an 1800 OPS. Welcome back to Macrodosing. It's Nanodosing. It's Tuesday. It's June 2nd. Today's episode is brought to you by our great friends at DraftKings. The final round of the basketball season's here. 2 teams left, 1 trophy on the line. Only DraftKings has you covered every step of the way. The DraftKings Sports app is now available in all 50 states and includes all markets, bringing each game straight to your fingertips wherever you are. From New York, San Antonio, LA, you're in on the excitement at the speed of sports. Follow every possession, every fourth quarter swing, every clutch shot that decides a series. Sweat the whole run in real time with a seamless experience built for championship basketball. No matter where you're watching, you're always connected, and you're always in the game with one app. New DraftKings customers sign up with code MACRO. Spend $5 to get $200 in rewards within 21 days. That's code MACRO in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. All right, we're back. Congratulations, by the way. Speaking of professional basketball in the NBA, congratulations to the San Antonio Spurs. Won Game 7. I can't remember the last time I was this pumped up about an NBA Finals series. It might end up sucking, but I feel like this matchup is going to be good basketball to watch. I know, Big T, you haven't watched any of it.
I've watched a little of the Knicks. I did not watch any of the Western Conference.
So you haven't seen you haven't watched Wemby play yet.
I've seen clips.
You should watch Wemby play.
I will be watching the finals.
Okay.
And they're putting the trophy back on the court. That's big for me.
Yes.
If they would put the trophy on the court the whole season, I might watch the NBA again.
You might get tricked into watching more games. It's.
I think this is a testament to the power of what people can do and social media. Right or wrong. Game 7, SGA ain't flopped like that. I think he heard the cries from the people when he's starting to see the highlights, and I think he is, man, because that Game 7, there weren't a lot of floor hits.
He played really good too.
Not as much. Yeah, bro, he's so talented. He's so nice. Just stop with that shit. I hate it. Stop that shit. But yeah, I did watch the last 3 or 4 games. That was a fun series to watch. And Wemby is alien, dog.
Who do you like in the finals?
I think San Antonio gonna win, but I'm pulling for the Knicks. If I have to root, right, I want to see New York have a win. You know,
okay.
New York fans they've had tough going in professional sports for a while now. So I want to see them have a win. That would be. I'm rooting for them.
That's
I think basketball is better when the Mecca is a contender as well. I'm old school basketball where Rucker Park, the Mecca of street basketball.
Mm-hmm.
All that. I want to see New York have a win. I'm all right with that.
How do you think the people from New York are going to take that? Like you patting them on their head and being like, I just want to see these little guys get one. Poor fellow.
Big guys. They the Mecca. That's what I said. They the Mecca. They started it. I just want to see them. You know what I mean? They be going through with the Jets. I want to see them get one.
I mean, to be fair, they did have a 30-year run where the Yankees won every other year and the Giants won twice. And did the Rangers win one?
Rangers haven't won since 90s. Yeah.
You make a good point with the Giants. I definitely forgot about the Eli days.
They just kind of pop up and win. Yeah.
New York is more encapsulated by the Knicks and the Yankees rather than the Giants. But because aren't the Giants in their stadium in Jersey?
Yep.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And then Wemby might be in line to have the best 2-month span ever or month-long span ever. He could theoretically win the NBA Finals and then a week later, sign a Supermax contract that could pay him $301 million over 5 years. That would be a pretty good couple weeks.
Yeah.
But you should watch these finals, Big T, and just
I will be watching.
Take in Wemby and just be amazed by how good he is and how much of a freak he is. Now that said, we're gonna start to hate Wemby pretty soon if he just keeps winning.
I mean, the Spurs are
crazy.
the Spurs are kind of the anti-American team. They always have international stars.
Mm-hmm. Aaron, you disagree?
I think that's just hilarious. That's where you go.
I've been thinking about it because like
he's so good that we're not gonna like him.
Well,
soon. It's funny.
It's a combination of him being so, and we hate anybody that's just dominant. But not only is he so good, but also like just him being as big as he is with like 8-foot wingspan, just like like a giant, just swatting people out of the air, just blocking 3-point shots from the key. That's the type of player that we might, as a culture, that's going to wear thin sooner than I think other teams would. Like the Warriors, it took like 3 years of Warriors dominance for America to be like, okay, we don't like you anymore. With Wemby, if he's just a human cheat code, and they get 2 back-to-back, I feel like that tide is going to shift rapidly on it. But listen, I love Wemby, and I love how much he cares. Like, he was crying at the end of the game. He was so emotional, and he's like so invested in this team and invested in his own greatness that this is like exactly what you want out of a young superstar. So I love watching him play. I hope to not hate him. I'm just thinking that, like, yeah, it could. It will probably happen at some point.
Play out the scenario in which the tide turns for you. We're like, yep, that's it. Can't stand this guy anymore.
Okay, well, let's see. They would win this one. They would win NBA Finals, and then over the offseason, they'd sign some massive free agent. Let's see what the free agents are. Let's see, NBA 2026 free agents. Let's see who's going to be available out there, because it's once you start to get in the conversation of them, like just adding super teams. I don't know exactly. I'm having a hard time reading which guys here have the player options, which guys would be true free agents at the end of this year. What's James Harden's situation like? Does he have a player option?
I have no idea.
I believe he has a player option.
Here are unrestricted free agents.
Okay.
LeBron James, C.J. McCollum, Chris Middleton, Kristaps Porzingis, Tobias Harris, John Collins, Anthony Simons, and then Nikola Vucevic.
I mean, if LeBron went to San Antonio, that'd be very funny. Just dominated. At that point, we would hate Wemby instantly.
Is he going to play again? What if he just retires?
I think the more I think about it, he'll be back.
With the Lakers?
Maybe.
Cavs?
Maybe Cavs.
He's definitely gonna play another year.
Yeah, I think he will too. Then he's gonna become full-time YouTube golfer.
This is how far I am out of the NBA. Zach LaVine has a player option for $49 million.
Is
that
crazy.
real?
That's kind of crazy.
Is he good?
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. Yeah.
That's in USD.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Pretty good player.
Right, yeah, I mean, I'm really out of the loop.
What the NFL equivalent of Zach LaVine might be. I think it might be like Kenneth Walker.
No, the Super Bowl MVP. You think is the equivalent of Zach LaVine?
Yeah, well, listen, Kenneth Walker wasn't the best player on his own team.
I understand that.
Yeah, he had a good game. Zach LaVine is capable of having amazing games.
Is Zach LaVine one of the 5 or 6 best guys at his position in the league?
That's different.
That's what Kenneth Walker is.
I think he's probably top 10 at his position.
All right. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Trae Young, $49 million. James Harden has a player option for $42 million.
Yeah.
Gonna go ahead and pick that up.
Yep, for sure. Now, people don't want to have the conversation about when Wemby was back in France, there was a player that was better than him in France for a while by the name of Alexander Sarr, Washington Wizard. Maybe that's what we need. Like, he's the dark star rising in the East to defeat Wemby.
Nobody beats the Wiz.
Nobody beats the Wiz. That's right. That's right, Mad Dog. You know it. All right.
Did you see who just re-signed with their former NFL team?
With their former NFL team? No.
Yeah, a receiver.
Oh, Odell, yes.
Yeah.
Odell Beckham back with the Giants. Good for him.
I saw that Jalen Hyatt was trending, and I was like, why in the world is Jalen Hyatt trending? And it's people saying, snatch his jersey number off and give it back to OBJ.
Yeah, you got to give it back to OBJ. I agree with that. I don't know that he's coming off some injuries. He's a little bit older.
Do you know how old he is?
Odell Beckham.
I was stunned.
32.
Like 30,
He's 33.
132. Yeah.
That's Super Bowl champion Odell Beckham. People forget that.
With the Rams?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think did he score a touchdown in that game too? I know he tore his ACL in the first half, but he was a good player for the Rams.
Some of the best hands the game has seen.
Yeah. I don't know if the legs are going to be there now. But good for him. And we're going to have an interview with sitting U.S. Senator Eric Schmitt from Missouri in a second, and he's going to talk to us about the new Saving College Sports Act that they're trying to pass through. So it's a bipartisan bill, so we're going to get into it in a little bit with him. Today's episode is brought to you by Shady Rays. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to give you an exclusive offer. Go to shadyrays.com, use code MACRO, get 50% off. 2 or more polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Go to shadyrays.com, use code MACRO, get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses with Shady Rays. These feel great. They're lightweight, but they're super well constructed. I love the Shady Rays. I just went out, purchased a bunch of Shady Rays for the summer, stocked up for the summertime because I lose a ton of sunglasses. These ones I have right here are the Caymans. The Caymans from Shady Rays. I love them. Very comfortable, premium, super clear, polarized glasses. You name it, they've got it, and they've got that great deal. If you drop them in the ocean, if you lose them off a dock, if you sit on them, if you leave them on a plane, they will send you a new pair, no questions asked. Go to shadyrays.com, use code MACRO, get 50% off 2 or more polarized sunglasses with Shady Rays. All right, Big T, tell me about this this thing that you sent over today about a new cleaning company in New York City.
Shift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think they're live in several cities, but if you want someone to come in to your home and clean it for free, they will do that. The only catch is they wear a camera on their hat that scans your entire residence to, they claim, teach the robots how to do it. So they say they're training like an army of robots to do household tasks and things like that. But if you're willing to give some company that you don't know a full scan of your apartment, they'll come clean it.
They'll clean it for free?
That's what they say.
So what is the company behind this? Do they have the robots already?
I don't know.
Are they doing this because somebody is paying them to collect data on everybody? Because they've got the robots.
I think that's likely the case.
So Shift just might be a middleman company.
Yeah, I would be stunned if there is not a lot of money behind this from a really big company that you've heard of. Here's how it works. Book a shift cleaning. A vetted shift operator comes to your home wearing one of our devices. They clean, they leave, you pay nothing. In exchange, we record the cleaning. Robotics is being built on data about how people do daily tasks, and the value of that recording is what funds the service. Anything personal in it is anonymized before the recording is processed.
Okay, here we go. What happens to my data? This is from the Shift website. We anonymize the footage, process it, and license it for AI and robotics training. So they are then selling recordings of the inside of your apartment to the highest bidder in terms of robotics or AI company. So you don't even know where your stuff's going to go.
Well, let me play devil's advocate. If you live in an apartment, your floor plans are probably on the website anyway, right? Or even if you live in a house.
Your floor plan.
You can go.
I just don't know. I mean, we can't even fathom what a scan of your house will be used for in 5 years.
Yeah, I'm not saying I would do it. I'm just saying I don't know that I'm that skeptical. If I put my house on sale for the market, all my rooms are scanned, pictured anyway.
Yeah, but you're not giving it to Anthropic.
Anthropic could get it online if they wanted to.
Yeah, I guess.
So the people that are coming to your house to clean your stuff, they don't even work for Shift. they're independent contractors that
So it's a DoorDash for
shift.
cleaning your house.
Yeah.
Now that's wild.
So cleaners are
randos at the
independent.
crib.
They're independent cleaning professionals vetted by our partners. So they're not even vetted by Shift. They're vetted by Shift's partners.
So what does Shift do?
I don't know, but it's not good. Shift is a technology platform that connects you with independent professionals, not a cleaning company, employer, or staffing agency. So they have partners who then vet the cleaning volunteers, who then get paid maybe through Shift, who's being funded by AI and robotics companies to get intel about stuff that's inside people's apartments. But you get your place cleaned for free. So there's that.
Yeah, gonna be a hard pass for me, though.
Is that worth it? You gotta have a messy house to get it cleaned.
Anyone
for
that
free.
uses this should be on a list.
They will be.
They
yes.
will be
Yeah,
on a
good-
list, but
good news.
a publicly available list so you can know who among you
is dumb enough.
is training the robots.
Yeah, who's dumb enough? I could definitely see like an apartment complex advertising this as a perk.
Also,
Like we have free cleaning.
there's a
That'll come in.
real a lefty argument to be made that this is training to take away work of lower income individuals.
Yeah, well, this is exactly what I think everybody should be concerned about, which is that AI will take the place of a lot of working class jobs, truckers, things like that.
Fast food.
Fast food, yeah, it's gonna be a lot. But I'm starting to feel like I might be vindicated that AI is not what it's been promised to be.
You saw Amazon. They're backing off their demand that everyone use AI. Was it Amazon or some other company that spent some untold amount of money in a month on AI because it was just running crazy doing stuff?
I forget what company that was, but so the Claude licenses that kept burning through, they did like $500 million of business, kind of accidentally, with Anthropic. I'm okay with all that. I do think that this is, like you saw Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, and his data center that he's trying to open up in Utah.
Yeah.
Have you paid attention to that at all?
We talked about it on an episode of this show that you obviously listened to, so thanks for that.
Yeah. That, like, when that guy starts to get involved in stuff, I feel like it might be time to look at some bubbles.
Oh, you're anti Mr. Wonderful?
I think that there's some stuff that he's good at investing in. This, it's just clearly like he's a Canadian guy, and he's all of a sudden taken a giant interest in a nondescript piece of land in Utah that he feels like he's entitled to. I think that should set off alarm bells for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, people are really data center's the new buzzword. If
Yeah.
you say data center, people will rally behind whatever you want.
Yeah, they don't like that stuff. But yeah, this particular company, couldn't you see though, like a apartment building saying we're going to offer you free cleaning once a week.
My piece of shit apartment building would probably do something like that.
Yeah, don't mind the cameras that they're going to be wearing
Yeah.
when they go inside. They're going to blur your faces. That'll all be okay. Big T, you and I had a good sports day yesterday for a different reason. U.S. men's national team.
Looked nice aside a couple of mistakes from guys who hopefully won't be playing.
That's the thing, is like you look at the final score 3-2 and you're like, oh, that's a close game.
Should have been 5-1.
Should have been 5, maybe 6-1, and there were some mistakes that were made by guys who will not be starting. And
against a good team.
Yeah, Senegal is a very good team. Some would say that they won the African Cup last year. Other people would say that Morocco won it. There was a whole big thing. But yeah, I thought that they looked really good. Our offense, our attack looked cohesive. The midfielders' connection with the strikers, that looked dynamic. I'm excited.
Yeah. I think we'll find out a lot Saturday at Soldier Field against Germany. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Aaron, what are you up to? What's going on with you these days?
Not much, man. You guys bullied me back into watching my Brewers, and oh, what a time you did it. We're on a little tear. Probably had the best month in the league.
I'm telling you, dude, you might be like a charm of sorts.
I'm not saying I'm the reason. I'm just saying when I started watching them, they had literally the best month in Major League Baseball. And Mizorowski might be one of the best pitching prospects in a long time.
He's an animal. I saw
He is insane right now.
it's whatever, all of his stats over the last 6 games. He had 57 strikeouts and had only allowed however many runs. Whatever. He's the only guy in the history of baseball to do that over 6 games.
So my kids is with the other moms right now. But I have my 8-year-old, and the Brewers were playing Houston this weekend, and I was like, "Hey, baby, are we going to a game on Sunday?" She's like, "Okay, cool." She's like, "Yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be fun. Me, daddy, daughter date the game." So on Sunday, I was finna buy the tickets, and then she goes, "Hey, Dad, can I have a play date with my friend?" And I was like, "Oh," she was like so excited, loves her little friend. I said, "Yeah, man, go ahead." So I
Wow.
just watched it and Mizorowski was on the mound.
Oh.
That's yeah, I was upset, but that's my baby girl, man. Like she was like, "Please," they wanted to have a swim day and all that. And I was like, "All right, go ahead, man. It's all good."
You know what? I think the fact that the Brewers even put a moment of hesitation in your mind with your child shows that you're really bought in.
I am. Because I definitely thought about saying, "Girl, you crazy as hell." The Miz is pitching, but no, I was like, "All right, you got it, man. Just watched it at the crib, had a little drink. It was fine. It was cool." But yeah, I'm back locked in, watching my dogs get in. That's it.
Mizorowski's the 3rd pitcher ever to have a 6-start span featuring 50 or more strikeouts and 1 or 0 runs allowed. PFT, the other 2 were in 21 and 18. Do you have a guess? 21, I think that season there's one guy that stands out.
Who's cuz for the Dodgers?
Ohtani?
No, the other dude.
Yamamoto.
No, not Yamamoto.
Clayton Kershaw?
Like the
Kershaw?
Clayton Kershaw?
Kershaw. Yeah, Kershaw.
No, but one of these guys is a lefty who's fairly similar to him
Verlander?
in many ways. Not left-handed.
Greinke.
I'd say currently the 2nd best lefty in the game still.
Shit.
Maybe first. You can make an argument he's the best.
Who would the best lefty be?
I watch him a lot.
Just tell me.
Chris Sale.
Okay.
And the other one in 21 was Jacob deGrom.
Okay. Yeah. He was pretty much unhittable when he was dialed in.
And they wouldn't win games.
Yeah.
They'd lose 1-0.
Yeah, we get 2 runs of support, yeah. DeGrom's still playing, right?
Yeah, he's on the Rangers.
Is he pitching this year? I haven't heard much about him.
I think he has been this year. I think he's been solid. Yeah, he has he's pitched 59 innings this year with a 3.77 ERA. So
good for him.
Fine.
Good for him. I'm just glad that he's healthy. He might be the all-time what-if guy. Like, if he had stayed healthy, he would have been a dominant pitcher like no other.
Trout?
Wait, if he played on, like, a better team?
No, I mean, he's hurt all the time.
Yeah, I mean, he's still going to have a great career.
Yeah, he'll be a Hall of Famer.
He's playing good this year.
Yeah.
Trout is, how many home runs does he have? Like, I'm going to guess 16?
I think 13 or 14.
13? Yeah, he's always not bad. Not a bad start
Could be
to the
a
year.
big trade piece if they'd want to get rid of him.
I don't think he wants to go anywhere. I think he's completely
Imagine
happy.
if the Braves got Mike Trout at the deadline.
That would be great. Now I'm just thinking about the Frank meltdown.
They'd be oh
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
I would attempt it, but I mean nothing could compare to what that would.
Do you
be.
think it would be a bigger meltdown if he signed with the Braves or if he signed with the Dodgers?
Braves?
Yeah.
Because Frank, I don't think he hates the Dodgers more than anyone else because they're just good.
I think
he hates the Braves.
I think he hates LA winning championships.
Yeah, but I think the Braves would cut deep.
They would cut really deep.
That'd be incredible.
Just
Or
give me-
Yordan Alvarez. I'd take Yordan.
Yordan, you think he's going to be moved?
If they were smart, they
Yeah.
need to tear it down.
They do. It's about time. They hung on for about 2 years too long.
Well, they were still good a couple years ago, but
Yeah.
could be a fun trade deadline. And might not be any baseball next year. Everybody's going to sell out. Go all out to win this one.
That's true. This might be the last season ever of baseball.
Yeah.
Why don't the Nats make a little move?
Could use about 5 pitchers.
Nats, complete overhaul of
Just
the
trade out the starting rotation.
You can keep doing. We're doing a lot of the opener thing. Like not just for a lot of teams do bullpen days, but the Nats we've gone to an opener a few times where you just have one guy like pitch the first inning Another guy pitched the second inning.
I have a proposal for you.
Yeah.
I'd do C.J. Abrams for Spencer Schwellenbach.
Tell me about Spencer.
He's hurt right now, but he's an animal. He'll be back this season.
How old is he?
Like 23 or 4.
Okay. What position does he play?
He's a starter. He had a 3.09 ERA last year.
he's a pitcher.
0.97 whip. Yeah.
Okay.
He's a beast.
Consider it. I'll consider it. C.J. Abrams is going to be a great piece. Everybody should want C.J. Abrams.
Or I'd do Chris Sale and Didier Fuentes for James Wood and C.J. Abrams.
No deal. No deal.
You need pitchers.
How old is Chris Sale?
30.
Yeah, too old. Yeah, see, no, absolutely not. It's funny when
Didier Fuentes is 20. Yeah, he's 37.
Okay, James Wood and C.J. Abrams are both, 23?
Yeah, they're demons.
And
but you need some pitching.
They're going to be great for the next, 15 years.
But then you'd need offense.
We will need offense if we traded those two guys. Although the rest of the lineup's pretty good, too. I'm just going to become a full-time genealogist in terms of the Juan Soto trade and, following everywhere that trade has led for us. Because in that trade, not only did we got Wood, we got Abrams, we got Mackenzie Gore, who then we then traded to the Rangers. And so we got more prospects back for him. Now, if we traded C.J. Abrams and got a bunch of prospects for him, we could be Juan Soto would be the Genghis Khan of the Washington Nationals in about 5 years. Where everybody on the team you could trace back to that one trade.
Yeah.
What a terrible trade by the Padres, by the way.
Didn't work out.
They rented Juan Soto for 4 months.
Happens.
Bad.
The Braves did that when I was a kid. Got Mark Teixeira for 3 months for Elvis Andrus. Do you remember Neftali Feliz,
Yep.
the awesome closer that the Rangers had?
Sure do.
And I think somebody else that was solid.
And my mistake. They got Juan Soto for longer than that. I forgot that they had a year and they had a full
That makes more
season
sense.
and a half season, but still didn't do shit with them.
Mark Teixeira brought up later in this episode, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. The point stands. That at the time I hated getting rid of Juan Soto, but that's about as good of a return as you can get for that guy.
Speaking of trades, Adam Schefter has reported that the Browns are trading Myles Garrett.
Whoa!
What?
I'm gonna cry.
For who? Or they're just open for business.
Oh my
No.
god! Oh my god!
The Browns are finalizing a trade that will send 2-time Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett to the Los Angeles Rams in exchange for Jared Verse,
Oh shit!
a 2027 first-round pick, and other draft pick compensation still.
Oh,
being
that's
negotiated
actually
to
a
the
great
Browns.
trade.
Who's Jared Verse?
He's a
real,
beast.
He's a really good player.
Myles
Hey.
Garrett's a beast.
Yeah.
Right, so you got a slightly less good version of Myles Garrett and a first-round pick and other picks. That's a great trade.
And Jared Verse is also he's very young.
I'm sad.
That's actually Browns win the trade. I'm declaring it right now.
Jared Verse, born in Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, hey.
So local.
That's so sad.
No,
He's
that's a great
25.
trade.
He's 25.
Yeah.
I would have taken Byron Young over Jared Verse, but to each their own.
I mean, it's what's crazy about this is that nobody talked about it.
It just happened.
It just happened. Usually with something like this, you would find out that they're shopping him or that he's requested a trade.
Well,
Teams are calling
like
around.
last year,
time,
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, this time it's complete silence. By the way, credit journalism, still alive and well. Adam Schefter reports the trade per Rap Sheet, Tom Pelissero, and me.
Yeah.
So triple credit on that.
Right.
And you rarely see, it's the rare Schefter, Rappaport, let's respect each other's game. We both had this.
right.
The bandanas tied together.
Yeah, I was actually just,
Oh, really?
I was posting that. Yeah,
Great minds.
great minds.
Just makes me sad. I don't want him to leave. He is such a bright light in a sea of darkness of that organization.
Imagine you're Jared Verse. You get drafted by the L.A. Rams. You have a great first couple seasons. You're living in L.A. And then they're like, get ready to learn Cleveland,
Get
buddy.
ready to learn. Yeah.
Yeah.
See ya.
Get ready to learn Brook Park, Ohio, buddy. Yeah, I mean, there are nice things in Cleveland. He'll have a nicer house, I'm sure. A really
Better
big
tax
house.
situation.
Better taxes. He'll have a new dome if he stays for a while.
That's true. And that means a lot to players.
Right.
It's like I can't wait for the new
the
stadium.
new dome.
So I'll take a discount.
What else? What else is good about Cleveland? There's, I guess, compared to LA, they have the ocean.
You were gonna hype up the lake.
I was gonna hype up the lake.
Yeah.
The people. Great people.
Yeah.
What's the best restaurant in Cleveland?
Cleveland has a very good food scene. Very, very good. A lot of people go to Marble Room. A lot of professional athletes go to Marble Room. It's a steakhouse. That's really nice. There's a lot of nice restaurants downtown. Very, very robust food scene. The taxes, a lot of taxes.
A lot of taxes.
A lot less taxes than LA. I don't know. I'm sad. Myles Garrett.
That's just crazy.
Didn't he want to go to the Rams last year, or am I making that up?
I think he wanted to explore options about being traded, but then they gave him a shitload of money.
Well, he requested a trade, and then they gave him a shitload of money.
Yeah, and then he was like, "I'm fine with not being traded because that's a lot of money. Thank you."
Yeah. Damn, that sucks. I hope Jared Verse is good, I guess.
He is.
Okay. Wait, are they the same position?
Yeah, pretty much. Like they play defensive line, defensive end.
Okay.
Jared Verse is a really, really good player. You should be you have an awesome young defense. How old is Myles Garrett now?
I think he was drafted in 2018, so I believe he is like 29 or 30. I believe he's 29.
See, if you were to ask,
he just turned 30.
Just turned 30. Okay, so I mean, that's it might be a win-win.
Well, he went to UAlbany for a short stint.
Jared Verse.
Yeah,
Respect.
he was a hot transfer coming out.
That's why.
Tennessee thought they were going to get him for a minute. Went to Florida State.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow. Well, we have our interview coming up with Eric Schmitt, U.S. Senator from Missouri. And he's going to be brought to you by Reese's. Nothing beats summer break when you were a kid. It was time off from school and sad school lunches, but you don't get summer break as a grown-up, and that's a huge bummer. But the good news is you can at least take a break from sad work lunches this summer with Reese's limited edition cups and the return of the Reese's Strawberry PB&J plus the all-new Reese's Marshmallow Cup. Both taste just like your childhood, so grab one before they're gone because they're fleeting, just like your youth. They are delicious. The Marshmallow Cup, that's my favorite. Reese's, the official candy partner of Barstool Sports. Get yours at Hersheyland.com/Reese's. And Senator Schmitt's also brought to you by Pardon My Cheesesteak. We're talking thin sliced steak, melted provolone, mouth-watering cheese sauce. Pardon My Cheesesteak. It's a legit heavy hitter, all loaded up on a perfectly toasted hoagie roll. And if you really want to do it right, get the Big Cat Combo, cheesesteak, fries, and a drink, or the brand new chopped cheese combo. It's a complete meal. It's available nationwide. It delivers easy. Game day covered. Late night covered. Stop overthinking dinner. Order Pardon My Cheesesteak right now. Use code AWL. Free delivery on pardonmycheesesteak.com. Okay, welcome back to Macrodosing. We welcome on a very special guest. It is Senator Eric Schmitt, United States Senator from Missouri. He's been working on some issues regarding college sports and some other initiatives recently. I've been paying attention to the new wave of legislation that's coming into play regarding college sports, but maybe some people out there haven't followed it as closely as we have. So let's start at the beginning here, Senator, and thank you for your time. What is the reason that the federal government is getting involved in college sports in the first place?
It's a good question. And if you would have asked me that question a couple years ago, I would have been very, very skeptical of what the federal government's role in all this is. But the truth is, through about the last decade, by way of litigation, the NCAA or any governing body for that matter has essentially been neutered to enforce any rules. It's why you see like a guy getting his 7th year of eligibility or somebody going to the G League and coming back. There are no rules anymore. And I think the pendulum for a long time was swung in the wrong direction. I mean, student athletes, that's what the whole name, image, and likeness lawsuit stuff was all about, which was, you got his name on the back of the jersey and his likeness on an EA, game, and he gets like a PlayStation or something for it. These guys should be compensated for that. I don't have any problem with players getting paid. But now it's sort of the Wild West. And so Congress is the only entity on the planet that can grant antitrust protection to the NCAA or some other governing body to set rules and then enforce the rules, right? So you have kind of two buckets that are part of the legislation that we're trying to essentially grant authority to address it. Because I don't think if you and I are on this show 2 years from now, I just think the landscape's going to be dramatically different, right? You're already seeing schools cut a lot of the non-revenue Olympic sports, women's sports. That trend is going to continue because the business model for college athletics was always college football was the cash cow, right? And it effectively subsidized all the other sports, all the non-revenue sports, except for basketball, which can be break even or make a little bit of money. But like even baseball or women's softball or swimming, whatever, they don't make money for the university. So football did it. So what happens when you start losing money on your college football program, like a Rutgers or Penn State, or what happens when all of the resources are going to that and you don't have anything left over? So what the legislation, what we're trying to do is to say that think of the one bucket is the governance piece to grant antitrust protection, lawsuit, protection for the NCAA or another body to say, you got 5 years of eligibility. You can transfer, but you can transfer one time. These agents, so-called agents that have entered the fray, there's a lot of nefarious actors in here taking advantage of these young men and women, that there has to be some standard for that. And then on the revenue side, one of the things that I don't think people realize is that in 1961, Congress granted the NFL, the NBA, the Major League Baseball antitrust protection to pool their negotiating rights to rights holders. So think of it this way: like if the NFC East were negotiating its own TV deal and the AFC West was negotiating their own TV deal, you wouldn't maximize the revenue opportunities. The NFL gets to do it. Now, in a normal marketplace, that would be collusion. But Congress said, no, you can go do that as a league. So one of the things we're trying to do here is to say college football can collectively negotiate with rights holders to generate more revenue to protect these other sports, right? So the NBA has half the audience of college football and twice the revenue. They're 8 billion all in. College football is 4 billion all in. So if you just conservatively did the math, in college football, it'll be voluntary for the conferences. If they negotiated, it's 8 to 10 to 12 billion dollars potentially that could then protect a lot of these sports. So you got the governance piece, you've got the revenue piece, but ultimately Congress is the only entity that can save college sports here. And then, and I think what we do or don't do will affect the trajectory of college athletics for the next 50 years.
Okay, so if we look like 10 years down the line, what is the main problem that we're looking to solve by giving college sports an antitrust exemption?
So right now, you really don't have any rules on eligibility, like how long, and think about that bottleneck that it creates for an 18-year-old coming out of high school, right? You're just not gonna, you don't have the same opportunities as somebody who's 25 or 24 on a roster now, in their 7th year of eligibility. So you would kind of get back to what people sort of have always thought was the window by which people can compete in college athletics. You would end, I'm a big SEC guy, Mizzou, whatever. I love college football, but you talk to any of these coaches, they effectively have these players for 6 months, maybe they have them for 6 months, and it's just a constant transfer. You got people transferring 5-6 times. I don't think that's a healthy scenario. Again, I think these guys should get paid. They should have a couple of windows when they're coming out and then another time to be able to transfer, or maybe it's 2 transfers, whatever you can have a reasonable debate on that. But you would get rid of this never ending portal that has really caused, I think a lot of chaos. And then on the revenue side, just think if you had a unified rights deal, the scheduling for the fan would be optimized. I think you look at like the Labor Day weekend, which is typically the kind of opening weekend of football. If you've got 2 top 25 teams playing one another, that the ratings that are 5 times higher than when Mizzou's playing Arkansas Pine Bluff in that first game. So you would optimize a schedule. I think for fans, it would be a much more attractive option. So I think that's the upside. The downside is 10 years from now, if we don't do it, I think you're going to have people that just won't have football teams altogether. If they do, to comply with Title IX, maybe they have a football team and like a gymnastics team, and that's it. Then all these other sports are club sports. There's no scholarships. We start to fall back in Olympic competition. You don't have the same opportunities for people to become leaders. Most people who participate in college athletics, I did, they don't go pro, right? But they become leaders. You learn valuable lessons about showing up on time and commitment and competition and winning and losing, all those sorts of things. So anyway, I think there's a lot on the line, but we are at an inflection point. Like I said, I wouldn't have said that a couple years ago, but the trajectory of this is kind of wild.
Okay, all right.
So
Big T.
yeah, so you mentioned the pooling the rights and stuff and how this should bring more revenue, and I guess there's a hard salary cap in this bill, right?
Well, currently under the House settlement, so the litigation that kind of brought us to all this point, there was a settlement. And that number for all sports is $20.5 million a year, okay, for every university. But then you have these collectives that are on the outside. So you ask, how can LSU have a $45 million football roster? And the answer is these collectives are kind of an end around what you're supposed to be able to spend for all of your sports. And so this would codify that, but also provide some real teeth if there's just some bogus NIL deals that are out there. You know what I mean? Like you get $5 million for showing up at the car dealership one time, kind of the end around. So it doesn't necessarily set a cap because the collectives still exist. And that's, you could debate whether collectives are a good idea or not, but that cap, yes, that from the House settlement is codified. And then it goes up, I think it's 4% every year. That's the way it's structured in the legislation.
Okay. I guess I was just going to ask if, especially if revenue is supposed to increase, like, do you want a salary cap, like Congress getting involved in a private labor market and then setting a salary cap of sorts, however that's, determined?
One alternative to what, so there isn't a real hard cap now because you still have the collectives that exist, right?
Yeah.
One thing you could do is you could say the collectives go away and you have a cap that's much higher than 20.5. That's another way to go about it. And I'm sure that actually we'll probably have that debate in Congress. So there's a hearing for the first time on this bill Wednesday. And then the Commerce Committee that I'm on, Senator Cruz, Senator Cantwell are on. There'll be a lot of negotiation here. And it's the first bipartisan bill that's been offered because it's a thorny issue. But the good news is I don't think it breaks down by like partisan breakdown. A lot of things in Congress are like red jersey, blue jersey. This isn't one of them, which is a good thing. It's more regional people who are interested in it and they want to preserve college athletics. I think so much attention is on football, and rightfully so, because it generates so much revenue. But there's a lot of other things at stake, like I said, the non-revenue sports.
So where does this affect the student athletes? Or I don't know if they're going to be designated as employees after this passes, but their right to collectively bargain as their side of the table. Where would that progress?
Yeah, so the athletes are front and center. So like, for example, one of the things that I didn't mention on the governance piece is to make sure that the student athletes have protections that are in the House settlement and beyond, right? Like making sure they have health care, making sure that extends beyond their time in college, making sure they have scholarship protection because of injury, making sure that their ability to get paid outside of a scholarship is still preserved. And so you don't have a true, because they're not technically employees, you don't have a true like kind of collective bargaining deal here. But what we're trying to do is in that settlement from all the litigation, the parties were represented. So we're trying to kind of plug in as much of that stuff legislatively now so that the athletes have representation here, that their interests are being recognized. Because look, as a senator from Missouri, I represent everybody, whether they voted for me or not. I represent everybody, including not just member institutions, but the athletes, the Missourians who are going to be participating and seeing those opportunities that they get from having a scholarship and also being able to make some money because of their performance. And so that is very important. And we try to get at that in legislation too.
As a fan of college sports, college football in particular, my pause from this, and I asked that question knowing that how litigious this whole thing can become if it's not set up correctly. Like, probably better than I do. But if it's set up from a standpoint of like we're bringing all parties to the table as we draft the bill and we take your concerns in as we're writing it, to me that's almost seems like if there's no right to collectively bargain on the players' side, then just a couple years from now it's going to be tied up in court because they're going to be arguing that certain provisions aren't legal or don't apply to everybody in a certain way. And that's where my concern would come in if you don't expressly grant them the right to collectively bargain. So what was that conversation like as you guys were drafting this bill? Were there people that were kind of echoing that same sentiment? How did you reach that compromise?
Yeah, no, it's tricky because think of it this way. If they were for sure designated as employees, you've got beyond just, because again, I think a lot of our focus is on the schools that are featured the 2 o'clock window on Saturdays, right? But there's a lot of schools that aren't competing at that level, including Division II programs, that they would stop offering any kind of sport altogether, right? So you're trying to balance the high profile programs that generate a ton of money, lower profile Division I schools that just, they're never, for example, that 20.5 million number we talked about, they're never going to get close to that. You know what I mean? They're never going to be able to compete. And then effectively, they just kind of go away. So there's this ultimate balancing act between the conferences and the schools and the athletes, the big schools, the small schools. It's not an easy deal to try to get to a place where you feel like all of that's represented. We're trying, I know I am, I can speak for myself, trying to do that. And the last thing you want to do is create a scenario that falls apart down the road, which is why that antitrust lawsuit protection is so central here, because effectively, if we move forward with this, it will likely survive. And there's going to be challenges, but it will likely survive judicial scrutiny because that's how it works with the professional sports. We granted them collective or the antitrust protection to sort of set the rules. It's a different scenario because it's professional, not collegiate. So it's a good point. We're trying to balance all of that. And, but effectively right now, if you don't do this, I just think the downside is pretty dramatic in the next couple of years. It just won't. You hear these guys like Signetti and others talk about it. Even this, the institution that won the national championship, they know it's not sustainable. It's just not to the current path that we're on. And so we're just trying to provide some rules and then, let people compete and do well or not do well in the new environment.
So I totally agree. I mean, we've talked about it on this show before. There's all sorts of stuff with college football and basketball that are insane. So explain to me. So the NCAA would be getting an antitrust exemption, but it also kind of feels like Congress stepping in is like what is overstepping the NCAA and saying, listen, you can't enforce your own stuff properly. We need to do it. But then you'd also be handing them an antitrust exemption. I guess what is the point of the NCAA at that juncture?
Well, no, they would be granted the antitrust protection to enforce the rules. So once Congress passes the law, it's effectively out of it. It's saying you're a governing body now that has the ability to enforce the rules, right? You can enforce the one-time transfer. You can enforce the 5 years of eligibility. If a player's getting ripped off by an agent, you have the ability to sort of sanction those So what we have to do it initially and create the framework by which the NCAA, which by the way has had its own problems. I mean, it's not lost on me, but there has to be some governing body that does it. And the NCAA is just likely the one that does it. And then they can enforce the rules.
Okay.
So right now, if the NCAA goes to court to enforce an eligibility concern in the state of Mississippi or the state of Pennsylvania, they lose because the courts are saying you don't have the ability to enforce it. You have no legal standing to go do that anymore. And what we would be doing is saying, yes, you do now to enforce these rules.
So then what would happen if the SEC or Big Ten or both broke away from the NCAA and formed something else?
Yeah, so we have to address that. And the NCAA's ultimately, I mean, look, I think that discussion, and I've talked to Greg Sankey and Petiti a lot about this. I think they're talking about doing that if Congress doesn't step in. I mean, they want a governing body for all of college football. But if we don't do this, what they're saying is this chaos has to be calmed somewhere and by somebody, and we'll just try to do it ourselves. And so I think that's kind of the plan B that they would say. Now, I don't know that they can pull that off because they'll have the same issues legally. It'd be a voluntary agreement among the SEC institutions, right? To say, here's our eligibility standards, here's our transfer standards. But ultimately, if somebody wanted to challenge that, they probably could. So again, you kind of get back to this place where the only entity on the planet that can do it is Congress. And I mean, you know, Congress, most people would wonder why Congress would get involved here. And like I said, I was skeptical too, but the truth is we're the only ones who can grant this antitrust protection to some entity, and that entity happens to be the NCAA.
Okay, and tell me about the Lane Kiffin rule.
Yeah, so the Lane Kiffin rule is to kind of prevent the scenario that we saw play out, right? Which is before the season is ended, you have this coaching change. I mean, literally, you had before the playoff, these guys could have won the national championship, and you have a coach leave, taking his staff. It just was chaotic. So we just say that you can't have a scenario like that before the season ends, and then the ending date for the season, I think, is designated as January 8th. So it'd be much like the NFL at that point, where everybody's, they can move, but they got to wait till the season is over with before you have that kind of change at the top.
Right. I think that to me was more about the college football calendar, with the transfer portal being what it is. It's like it put every coach, I think, in a position where if they wanted to take a different job, they had to make a tough decision, which is pretty much.
No, you're right. The calendar is a real issue. I mean, if you were to really set this thing up, what you'd want to do is have a calendar that kind of mirrors what the NFL has to some degree, right? Yeah. And so it's an acknowledgement that, hey, these academic calendars sometimes don't line up with the football calendar, and when coaches can go when the portal opens. And so I think this provides a little bit more clarity there.
You make an interesting point. It kind of leads me to this thing. I've always thought this, and I think most people that watch college sports have at one point considered this. The marriage of Institute of Higher Learning to a local sports team that people pay money for and operates essentially as a business. Like the fact that we have the universities themselves that are also running sports teams out there. Why is that? If it seems like it's not a viable business model anymore, once once the players have the right to be paid and compensated for their name, image, likeness, it seems like if it's unsustainable, that to me speaks to the fact that maybe it's just not a good business model for schools to be running athletic programs. Is that a thought that you've had? Like maybe we just let them sink, or maybe they just completely separate the athletic program from the schools, and playing basketball for a certain organization has nothing to do with attending classes at that same institution.
Yeah, I think, look, the reason why I'm glad to come on your show is like, I'm much more comfortable talking about this stuff than some of the other stuff that I do. It's a lot more interesting. And like growing up, you're just at a bar, like talking about this stuff because it's cultural. People care about it. There's a real connection they have with the teams that they root for, or even, if they've got some other rooting interest. It's become a massive business, especially college football. I mean, it's the number 2 of all the sports, the second most eyeballs, second only to the NFL. And so that's kind of an undeniable truth on one hand. On the other hand, it is connected to an institute of higher learning, where is that the mission is to educate students. And so unlike the professional leagues, you do have to acknowledge that you're trying to marry both of those things. It feels a lot like now, at some level, it's more of like a semi-pro. Right. And again, we're mostly talking about football here, and to some degree college basketball, but kind of a semi-pro situation. But it isn't. It's still, you're still dealing with universities. And so again, you're trying to balance a different scenario. And I think it's changed. You look at now the skyrocketing deals that these conferences are going to, I mean, when the SEC goes to market in a few years, I think their deal expires in 2031. When they renegotiate that, I mean, they're going to blow the doors off, right? They're going to blow the doors off. And the payout for an SEC school right now is about $70 million, mm-hmm. And you think about some of the reasons why you've had this crazy conference realignment, especially as it relates to kind of the Big Ten and what happened to the Pac-12 and everything, is this, they're chasing with this kind of broken model. They're chasing a footprint that might generate more revenue, and this whole like cross country flight for a softball team in the middle of the week. It is what it is. It certainly isn't like beneficial necessarily, I don't think, for the student athlete, but to your point, I do think even with what we do here, you're still going to have a situation where some schools are going to have to decide whether or not they're going to compete at that level or not. But one thing I think that should be kind of an operating principle is that we should do everything we can to protect the Olympic sports, the women's sports, that broad offering that an institution has. I think we do want to protect that for a variety of reasons. And college football is the way you subsidize all of it. So a lot of this is aimed at how do you deal with the college football dynamic because you're trying to protect a lot of the other sports that are out there.
All right.
That's like an insane framing to me coming from like a senator. Like you're asking young athletes to subsidize other people for the labor that they're producing. That's what I guess I'm missing in this entire thing is other than it doesn't feel right. I'm not understanding like the grounds for wanting to not pay athletes real fair wages for their labor.
No, I'm fine with that. I think I led. Like I don't have any problem with the going rate for an SEC corner being $250,000. I mean, if that's what the market is, that is what the market is. I don't have any problem with players. I'm not one of these guys that wants to go back to 1986 in a model that really I think was exploited the student athletes where they weren't going to get paid. But you do have to acknowledge, even in that old model, in the new model now, the idea that a university wants to have all these other sports, it has always been subsidized by college football. That's just the truth, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Except for nowadays, at least cats can get money for their name and likeness.
Yeah,
right?
for sure, and that's not going away. That's not going away.
That's fine. But what I'm saying is, why other than my main question is, other than it doesn't feel right, what is the grounds for interrupting a free market?
Well, we're not
coming from a conservative.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're saying that under the current, so the House settlement, which resolved a lot of this litigation, said that the revenue sharing payout of what you could spend is $20.5 million. Then you have the collectives. That's actually not being disrupted at all. I think what we're saying is that the model that you can transfer every year, or that you can spend 7 years in college and take those again. So it depends on who you're talking about. Is that better for the 25-year-old? Maybe. Is that good for the 18-year-old who wants an opportunity? No. Right. So you're trying to find this balance, but I don't have any problem with student athletes getting paid, especially the football guys, because they're generating the revenue. But there is another interest here, which is there are a lot of other sports that just have never generated revenue and they would all go away. I don't think that's a good outcome either. I don't know if you agree with that, but I don't think that's a good outcome, that you wouldn't have a college baseball team, you wouldn't have a gymnastics team, and that's where we're headed. So
yeah, no, it's not that I don't think college sports are good, but I'm just trying to find the logic here of you're asking for subsidies from a major revenue share from kids that aren't getting that share from their labor. Just logically, it doesn't follow in my head. I don't understand it, other than it don't feel right. I grew up with college sports, and this is what I feel it should happen. Like you mentioned earlier, about the antitrust stuff, and you're talking about the NFL, and you say, but it's different because it's collegiate. But why is it different? Like the definition of a professionally paid athlete is an athlete that gets paid for his labor on the field or court or wherever it is. So college athletes are professionals. They always have been, right? It's just now they're just getting paid for their labor. So again, I'm just failing to see other than the nostalgia of college sports, what is the grounds?
Well, let's play it out. Let's play it out. So let's say we don't do anything, and 5 years down the road, half of the Division I schools that currently have football programs don't have football programs anymore, right? Because they can't compete. So for the players that are coming out of high school, not only are they competing against 25-year-olds on half the program. So that's what I'm saying, is that I don't have a problem with people getting paid, but under the current system that exists right now, you're going to have fewer opportunities for student athletes, including football players, right? So it's just sort of an acknowledgement of the chaos that exists right now with kind of unlimited transfers, 7 years of eligibility. Right now, you could go as a basketball player, you could go into the G League, not do well or whatever, and come back. Like, is that a good scenario? I don't think that is kind of what we're getting at here, but I think, some people might argue that, but right now, no one can say no. right? No one can have any standard by which that can be enforced. And so I just think in a perfect world, if you're saying every current football team could pay as much as the market would bear or whatever for every single player, what's going to, if you could sustain that, maybe, right? Like if you could sustain it, again, I don't have a problem with a quarterback on a national championship team going out and getting his money. But the truth is, over time, you're going to have fewer and fewer schools that can have college football teams because they can't compete. They lose money, right? Like Rutgers lost like tens of millions of dollars. And how long can Rutgers have a football team? So eventually you start squeezing out a lot of guys who would have the chance to play college football, and not everybody's going to go pro, right? And so they would have a scholarship, they get paid, they get a degree. That's a good thing. And we want to preserve that for as many athletes as possible.
Maybe I missed this when you brought it up earlier, but is there something in the bill that legally prevents the SEC and the Big Ten from joining forces? Like it says this cannot happen?
Yeah, so there's a provision in there that Senator Cruz and Senator Cantwell have talked about as far as it prevents this super league.
Okay.
Right? It prevents the SEC and the Big Ten, which, by the way, they don't want to do, but it does prohibit this super league. The thinking is that if you had the super league, it sort of exacerbates, some of the issues. You'd have a 35 team league, the combination of the Big Ten and the SEC. So I probably maybe don't feel as strongly about that particular provision, only because I just know the SEC isn't really interested in that. But it doesn't prevent the idea that, somewhere down the road, the SEC or the Big Ten might want to add a team or two. I mean, that you could still do that, but you wouldn't have this mega league, basically.
Okay.
Are you at all concerned, Senator? College football is my life. This is all I care about.
Yep.
And I love that it's stupid. Like the NFL exists for people who like that. New York and Boston are going to play this Sunday. I like to some degree that Trinidad Chambliss goes into a courtroom in Oxford, Mississippi, and the judge got his bachelor's and his JD from Ole Miss, and he's sitting there, and he's just waiting for him to go, and he's ready to rip into the NCAA, and Trinidad signing autographs as they're like being like, yep, right. You can play an 8th year in college football. Is it the best thing? I don't know, probably not, but I love it. I love that college football is dumb, and it's the most fun sport we have. Are you at all worried that you might kill that? Kill what I love.
Well, because I love college football. I don't want to do that. I'm not coming at this as a guy that for some ivory town. I mean, that's what I do. That's what I love Mizzou. I love the SEC. I watch other games too, but I certainly don't want to do that. My intention is to help preserve it because I don't know. I don't think you can. The current trajectory, to use your line about being stupid, there probably is like a maximum stupid that falls apart. And that's what I'm worried about. Right. And just worried that you end up in a situation where it's not sustainable. And like I said, the Big Ten SEC, they might be okay in 2 or 3 years. They might be able to. But when you got Arkansas talking about dropping men's and women's tennis teams too, that's an SEC school. It's kind of a canary in a coal mine. So I don't have a problem with saying we've lived with this forever, that you've got like a certain number of years of eligibility. I mean, take that to the maximum extreme. Can you go play for the New York Giants for 5 years and then, come back and play quarterback for Miami? You know what I mean? Like, I don't
that
like
could
at
be
some
fun.
point.
Jameis Winston coming back?
Yeah, Jameis Winston coming back.
I mean,
so again, like, I think that there's some value of having just like clearly defined rules that, again, try to address some of the opportunities and downside that we see. Look, part of the new landscape has allowed schools like Mizzou, Ole Miss, Indiana to rise up against the Blue Bloods. I like that, right? Like, I don't want to take that away. I don't want to, for a long time, Alabama was able to stack, 4 or 5 stars at every position. They could never leave. I don't think that's a good system, right? And so I like the idea that a player can find another opportunity. Austin Simmons, who you talked about Chambliss, Austin Simmons, who's supposed to be the quarterback at Ole Miss, got hurt. Chambliss comes in. He transferred to Mizzou. So he's the Mizzou starting quarterback next year. He's got that opportunity. I think that's a good thing for the school and for him. So I just think preserving those opportunities in a system that can actually survive is the goal.
So I was reading about the
Hold on, 15 minutes real quick. From a former athlete's perspective, right? I'll preface this, and I should have prefaced this that it was saying like I'm not a fan of cats transferring, willy nilly. I'm not, but I ain't in a position, right? And from an athlete's perspective, it's odd to me to have people who have never played at that high level trying to dictate where they can go and essentially dictating the market value. And I always bring it back to economics because we pretended for 100 years that collegiate athletic sports wasn't pro sports, right? And I think now we're pretending again, with this legislation, that it is not a free market business. And I think once you why is Congress so interested and the government so interested in this one? In collegiate athlete sports and this business, because it is a business. So the idea of y'all interjecting and saying I can't go as a free citizen to whatever institution wants to have me is mind blowing to me.
Well, but
from an athlete's perspective and an American's perspective.
Right. Well, but you don't have contract, right? Like you don't have a contract.
Yeah, you do.
So you know what I mean? Like I'd be okay with a system where players would negotiate a contract, but the contract has terms. You know what I mean? Like it'd be like somebody in the NFL, they sign they sign a deal and then they have a period of time in which the contract's in effect, right? So I think what we're saying is that I want to preserve the mobility if an athlete has another opportunity somewhere and can get paid. Like that's not going away. It's just a question of how many times can you do that? And I guess somebody could make the argument that there should be no limit ever, and people should be able. And that's what the system we have right now. But I think trying to figure out a standard that balances a lot of this to say you can still move, you can still get paid, but there are some rules, there's some boundaries. I mean, that's really because I think again, this is just my opinion. I think the downside here in 2 years is pretty dramatic. I just think you're going to have a lot of schools that people assume can continue down this path, and they just can't. They can't. Even SEC schools are, they're banging the drum to get, make sure that they can pay guys to compete at that level. And like I said, I'm good with that, but there is a place where that's just not going to continue to happen. That's all.
I don't disagree. And like I said, I'm not a fan of the movement. Like, I played college football. There's some nostalgia with my university and our rivals. I get that side of it, but I feel like this is the monster that was created a long time ago with pretending like they weren't employees should be getting a salary. And now again, I think we're doing the same thing, and this is only going to create a bigger monster if we just don't realize what so they didn't allow, I think that Northwestern case a while back didn't allow collegiate athletes to unionize, right? If you don't, there's ramifications for all of that. And I think we're starting to see the fallback of kids finally, you went to the extreme. You went from you can't get any money or anything. You get penalized for getting a meal to now you're getting $10 million deals. That jump was massive.
Yeah.
And it's predicated from the notion that this is not a farm club for the NFL. It is.
Right. Well, and I think it's also important to point out, and we kind of glossed over it. We're saying in the legislation, those protections that athletes have fought for years are now in law, right? Like you can't
healthcare. I love. Yeah.
You can't take away the scholarship because somebody gets hurt. They got the healthcare. They have that protection. You know what I mean? And I think that's important. That's important to me. And that's in here. So there's a lot of things that, were forever denied are now going to be codified in federal law, which I think is important, right? So again, it's a balancing act. It's trying to protect the athletes. It's trying to say that there have to be some rules that can be enforced, and somebody's got to be able to do it. And Congress isn't going to be doing it. Like Congress isn't going in and saying going to subpoena people to come in before a committee hearing because you violated some rule. It's going to be some governing body like the NCAA.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the College Sports Commission and the rights or the power that they would have to evaluate NIL deals, like whether or not they serve a valid business purpose. It sounds like the college sport, like they would be a governing body of sorts that if you said, hey, this person's taking an NIL deal at LSU, but I don't think that they're actually showing up to this brand of gas stations 3 times a month to like do public appearances. How do you determine who goes onto that board, who's evaluating, making the decision? Because kind of like Big T was alluding to, like this seems like it could be rife for some of the stupidest stuff that we've seen in a while, or at least some conspiracy theories. It's like, oh, this guy that's on the board, he hates LSU, so he won't let our guy take this. Like, what is the formation of that board going to look like?
Yeah, you're going to have the conferences and the schools decide who's on that board. That won't be us. And, you know, there is one now, but it doesn't really have any teeth because anything that they decide, like I said, gets thrown out in court, right? So the idea is, so basically I think there's 3 kind of options here. One is you have this 20.5 million that is supposed to be the amount that you can spend on all your programs. And then right now the collectives can do an end around and, you know, like you said, you could say that's a fine system, but it's creating a lot of disparity. So then one solution to that is to say, okay, this CSC is actually empowered to make some of these determinations and enforce them and say, this is a legit deal. And no, this is just like an illegitimate deal. The other option is you get rid of the collectives and you raise the cap, right? And you say donors can say above the 20.5 million, they can earmark it to the athletic department. And there's a lot of merit to that. I kind of like that idea where, you know, so your people can still maximize their worth, but there's some cap and it's all through the schools, right? You don't have this third party collective.
I think a lot of business owners would like that too, because it would limit some of the risk that they undertake, being like, here's $2 million for a wide receiver. And then that wide receiver decides that they don't actually want to play there after a couple months.
And
then
you can't
they
enforce
leave.
it on that end either.
But if they earmark it for the schools, then it's part of the contract that the person would sign with the school. So like they're getting paid through and then have that like legislation wrapped around it. That seems like that would be a more effective use.
I don't disagree with you, but that's part of the sausage making that has to happen here in this thing about getting enough people to agree on one kind of solution. I think that the CSC having some teeth is better than the situation there is now. The other thing is it requires reporting on what these deals actually are. That's part of the problem right now is some schools just don't, and they shall remain nameless, I guess. They just don't report any of this. Like they just don't even, because they're like, well, what are you going to do to me kind of thing, you know? And that's kind of the situation that we have right now. And so you've got a lot, like you don't even really know what the roster value of one school is versus another school. And I think that information is important. And back to some of the questions, because that helps determine the value of the player too, right? Like a lot more transparency, you can kind of see, okay, all in, what is an elite safety's value? Or all in, what is an elite wide receiver in the Big Ten's value? Right now, we don't really have a lot of data on that because a lot of this is concealed.
Fullback would be the position I'd be most interested in funding myself.
Probably do that.
I probably could, yeah. There's what, like 3 schools that use fullbacks now?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, hey, and with no eligibility rules, you can probably go to court and get in.
I might be able to. I actually have a more selfish question to ask you that you're here. You're an attorney. You were Attorney General of the state of Missouri for a period there. Can I sue somebody if I'm playing in a golf tournament inside the state of Missouri, and let's just say the prize pool is $1 million, and 3 people split this $1 million? Can I sue somebody if my teammate on the first day sleeps in, misses his tee time, and then I end up getting bounced after 2 rounds instead of being able to compete and potentially win $1 million? Can everybody that was on my team file a class action lawsuit against this one player who's really good that slept in and didn't care?
I think so. I think you got a great cause of action there.
Okay.
And is the guy, who's the dude? Is he sitting next to you?
No, he's not sitting next to me. I don't want to target him by name, but people that that are listening, they know exactly who this guy is. He's a good golfer.
Sadly, was this in Missouri, by the way?
Yeah, this was in the Ozarks. It was at the Bass Pro Shop setup that they got out there at what's the name of that?
Is it Big Cedar?
Big Cedar Lodge. Yeah,
Big
exactly. It's a great place.
I'm
sure you've been there.
Were you playing Buffalo Ridge or Paynes Valley?
We did both. So this was at Paynes Valley, and day one, hole one, I step up to the tee, and my teammate slept in, and it's supposed to be a 2-man scramble. I step up to the hole. I hit my tee shot. It goes about half a mile to the right, so I have to hit off the second tee box coming back up the hill. But really, it's because of one person that made us not win the $1 million. So I feel
think,
like,
I mean, sadly, I think the lawsuit, the damages would be speculative. So I don't know that you've got a great cause of action, but it'll be fun. It'd be fun to make that argument, to haul your buddy into court and make him answer questions. That'd be a lot of fun.
I would like to do that. I would like to tie up the court system.
By the way, which course did you like better, Paynes Valley or Buffalo Ridge?
I like Paynes Valley. And for a guy like me that I kind of sprayed off the tee, so it's like,
yeah, you got wider fairways,
pretty wide, and we're going back there this year. And I think the prize pool is up to $4 million now. So
oh man,
I'm going to see what I can do, but I will be armed with the knowledge that I'll threaten to sue him. I don't know if I actually will, but I'll be like, hey.
You might need a new partner, though. That might be the other thing.
We'll see. I kind of want to beat him now, yeah.
If we're closing with the selfish question, Senator, I don't know if you can see, I'm wearing my House of Representatives quarter zip here that we got from Congressman Pat Ryan.
Okay.
Was just wondering, is there a Senate quarter zip falling off the truck somewhere? Do y'all have those somewhere in the back?
All right, well, let's get some swag. We'll get some swag your way. How's that?
Thank you.
We'll do it.
Yep, that's all we need.
And you guys, by the way, do both of you guys play golf or no?
I play golf very poorly, never competitively.
Arian's pretty good too.
They have some Senate club head covers.
If one of those falls off the truck, you can feel free to send that. That'd be fine.
Let's do that.
I'd like that very much. And you are you the ringer for the Republicans on the congressional baseball team?
Yeah, we got a streak going. We got to keep that going this year.
Yeah, we've got practices at 5:45 in the morning, which Missouri time is 4:45 in the morning. But I figured my OPS is 1850. I've discovered somebody's doing the stats.
That's actually insane.
So.
Do you get drug tested?
Yeah, no.
That's because if I'm Commissioner of Baseball and a guy walks in with an 1800 OPS,
it's ridiculous. I'm like, but it's not real life. It's congressional baseball. But I will say that. So we have a pretty deep lineup. Mark Teixeira is about to win a congressional seat in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm already lobbying to make sure that I'm in the 2-hole if he's in the 3-hole next year if he plays, because that'll be totally ridiculous. But
going to be allowed to play? That might be dangerous.
Well, you know what? I want to win 100-0. That's my goal. So the 30-5 scores aren't good enough. We got to get a potential Hall of Famer.
Do y'all use metal bats?
Metal bats, yeah.
Oh, that's a safety issue.
Mark Teixeira should use wood bat. Let's be real.
Yeah, but now they've got that torpedo bat that's kind of the same as a BB core bat. I mean, they're not like bats back in the day, the Easton like Black Magic that would literally get someone killed at third base. They're all different now, but yeah, no, that's next Wednesday. So that's in 10 days, that game at Nats Park. There's like 30,000 people that go. It's fun. It's actually a lot of fun. It's actually what I was joking when I was in the outfield, last year to the other guy. I said, this is what I really wanted to do with my life. I just had to get to the Senate to be in a major league outfield. So
is there in the spirit of bipartisanship, is there anybody on the Democrat side that you look at, you respect their game? I know that they stink. Yeah, no one?
No, I'm kidding. No, Chris DeLuzio is from the Pittsburgh area. He's a pretty good athlete. On the Senate side, Alex Padilla from California. We have a good time out there. He beat me a couple of years ago, and he said, if I was trying to hit you, I would have thrown at you the first pitch. And I said, don't worry, you don't throw hard enough for it to hurt, so it's no big deal. So, but no, we have some fun out there. There's a little trash talk. But Republicans, we've been, I think we're on like a 5-year winning streak. This will be I was elected in 2022, so this will be my 4th game.
So you've never lost this game.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. That's correct.
All right. Well, good luck. I love watching the highlights of that. You guys are going to smoke them again. It's really not fair. Like, there should be a slaughter rule in this game.
Well, it would definitely shorten the time of the game. Thankfully, it's only 7 innings, but yeah.
All right. Well, appreciate you joining us. One last question. I feel like all this discussion about college sports, it's important, but we're taking our eye off the ball with Greenland. When are we going to get Greenland? Oh,
I'm with you,
I'm
man.
walking down the street and everyone's like, "Hey, PFT, when are we going to invade Greenland?" And I'm like, "Just be
I want
patient."
Greenland. I think we're probably better off buying it, which is really where the conversation is. Like we bought Alaska,
Okay.
like we bought the Louisiana Purchase, where my home state of Missouri is once part of that purchase. Getting Greenland, in all seriousness, all the critical minerals they have, you can refine them there strategically in the Arctic. Matters a lot for missile defense, so I'm all for it.
Okay, just want to make sure that we hadn't forgotten about that. Hadn't heard a lot about
Yes.
Greenland recently. All right, well, appreciate you joining us. Thank you, sir.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks for the time.
And that was Eric Schmitt, senator from Missouri. I'll be contacting him to sue Luke Kwan forthwith.
I bet the Senate head covers are sick.
Yeah?
That's an exclusive.
You know what would rock is if it was like, if they had president head covers.
I'm sure one person does.
They probably do. Yeah, that's true. That's true. No,
I guarantee you he does.
But I mean like the actual head.
Oh,
You know what I'm
you mean
saying?
like the Nats, like
Yeah.
president's race?
Yeah, like a mascot head of Teddy Roosevelt
That'd be fun.
would be a pretty good driver.
The Nats might have those.
They probably do. I'll have to look into that. Who do you think the worst?
Because the
president-
Brewers had head covers of the sausage guys.
Yeah, true. That's true. I think I got one of those actually.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I think a William Howard Taft driver would be interesting. Him, the big dog.
So I'm not, the Nats don't have them, but there is a company that has something similar. It's not quite what we were looking for.
Oh, the Jimmy Carter. That's a tough one.
That's JFK.
That looks like Jimmy Carter to me. Are you serious?
It's John F. Kennedy.
All right, listen, respect to Jimmy Carter. That's not JFK. JFK is a handsome devil.
It looks like they just have JFK and Trump.
I don't know that I'd want the JFK.
Hold on one.
Like he didn't have a very good driver when he
Yeah.
was alive.
And head, too.
Yeah, you don't, hey, can you take the head off that JFK for me? No, I don't want to
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
There's a whole thing with that.
Do you think they did that on purpose? Wait, and Trump shot as well.
Also shot. Yeah. So just think about it. Keep an eye on that company.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Keep an eye on that. All right. Well, we will see you guys on Thursday. Love you guys.
Goodbye.